Statements, starting with Mr. Salmon.
Do I stand up?
You could do whatever you would like. You can stand up or just stay where you are.
Hi, I'm Doug.
Can't hear you. There's another one.
Here.
Hi guys, I'm Doug Stanley and I'm running for county council, as she said. I got into the county council race because I noticed there's a lot of structural issues in the communities with the infrastructure and with the environmental aspects of things. I looked at stuff such as Trade Point and the environmental cleanups there and our shorelines, and I wanted to do more for the communities. I also looked at the roads and the infrastructure in the area, and that's kind of where my strong point is. So that's one of the reasons why I got into the race. The other is to help with the school issues and the overcrowding. Thank you.
Hey guys, I'm Tim Baker. I am a local guy. I am originally from Colgate, grew up in Edgemere as well. I moved back here to raise a family, and I love this area, and that's why this is so passionate for me. I saw a lot of things going on in the area that made me want to jump into this race. I also had my oldest daughter out in the audience, Audrey, and I knew that I wanted to set a good example for her for civic responsibility. So that was part of the reason I jumped in this race. I'm a former executive in healthcare, and I currently work in the environmental services field. I decided that when I got into this race, I was going to donate my entire salary to Kids with Cancer when I win this election. I'm a write-in candidate. I got in late. I've only been here 3 months, but I'm looking to make history here. My message is American Kids First, which basically comes down to a community-centric philosophy, which basically I'm looking for the smallest government possible to run our own territory and areas, because we all know our communities better than anyone else. So I'm running to represent you guys. Again, I'm donating my salary entirely to Kids with Cancer when I win, and I look forward to a very nice forum tonight with everyone here.
My name is Dave Rader, and I'm also running for county council as a Republican candidate. If I could choose my own party, I'd actually go with a Democratic Republican. That's the same as Thomas Jefferson. And their primary principle is actually a small government also. It's really against federalism. It's more power to the states, more power to the local level. The reason that I got involved in this is because I just thought there was corruption at the local level. I used to always think national politics was interesting, but the local politics, I think we need to clean it up. It's our own backyard, and how can we focus so much on the national politics and let that divide us whenever we have to do so much here locally? And just one of the things I'm speaking of in regards to that, I think there's a lot of overdevelopment around here. There used to be fields that the kids could play in, lots of fields. I don't remember them, but I've seen pictures of them, and I think the times were better then, and that's part of the reason times are better, because kids had a place that they could go and they could play without having to worry about cars, without having to worry about drugs, and that's another incredibly huge problem all throughout the country. And there's a lot we can do here to combat the drug problem as well. Thank you.
All right, everybody, I'm Brian Weir. This is my background. I was married 20 years the first time, 12 years the second time. Lost my first wife in 2003. Lost my son in 2008 as a police officer at Precinct 12. I have 3 daughters, 9 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren. I've been employed by Thompson Automotive up here for over 31 years. I spent the last 42 years as either a volunteer or leader with the Department of Rec and Parks, with the last 6 years as a member of the board of the Rec and Parks, till my appointment ran out in January of 2018. I'm a member of the American Legion SAL Squadron, member of PCRC, and help with Bread and Cheese Creek in the area. Not a politician, never been a politician or a political insider. I fight for the people. I'm not Law-Laketon Towson. I just tell the truth. I don't make promises. You're not going to get a chicken in every pot. Okay? My slogan has been, and it's always going to be, it's about the people, not the party. Okay? The things I've gotten accomplished without being elected. Okay? We lost our parkland when we lost our precinct. I fought. We got a new park built behind the precinct of Precinct 12. Myself with Rob Noziga, we designed the park. We had it done through Rec and Parks. Okay, we pushed for the police monument to be moved. Took 2 years to get it done. We finally got the police monument moved back over to Eastwood School, and I'm out of time with 4 pages to go. We'll get you later.
All right, we're gonna start with Mr. Weir and come in this direction, and then the next time we will start with you and go in the other direction.
Microphone.
Oh, sorry about that. All right, the first question is what does your experience prepare you for the duties of this office?
Once again, we can go back to my form here. Okay, I've spent many years working with everybody in the area. The other things that we have gotten accomplished through the Board of Rec and Parks is we were the last county to institute background checks for our volunteers. So our children were the last to be protected here in Baltimore County. We got that law passed approximately 18 months ago, and now it's mandatory background checks. Many issues that I believe we need to work on in our district that are not being handled is we need more police. I would like to see to have more police. I want to see a power shift put back into play. A power shift is your 6 to 2 or your 7 to 3 at night cars that come back into play. Undercover, unmarked cars. As your councilman, I will ride with these police on the weekends. Listen to our community leaders, ride with them, and let's sit on the trouble spots. Let's see what we need to do to get it changed. We have problems in education right now. I'm running out of time. Our schools are at 120% capacity right now, folks. We're out of room. We built a brand new Dundalk High School. We already have trailers there. We have trailers on all of our schools around here. We are completely out of room. By 2028, their plans within Baltimore County is to bus our children around the Beltway. I don't see that as feasible. I don't see that as happening. We have plenty of areas here that need to be adjusted, and I think they need to look into, and I won't stop. We'll continue later.
Thank you. And in regards to the question,
Do you want it again?
yes, if you don't mind, just so
How-
everybody can hear.
How does your experience prepare you for the duties of this office?
I've been a community volunteer since I was a kid. I remember painting a stop sign. People don't really do that anymore, but that's how long I've been doing it. That was part of my service learning hours when I was a kid. And my mom was involved in the community association 20 years ago. And now I'm involved in a community association. Right now I'm president of 2 different civic groups, and we do everything we can to keep the community looking good. We try to keep the crime down, and I'm in there every day. In fact, I just called the police on somebody today. Somebody was drunk riding down the road and smashed into a car on the opposite side, and it was parked, for the record. And I think that just being on the ground level like that, working all throughout the communities, literally from picking up trash to working in the schools. I worked in schools through Baltimore City. I worked in schools through Baltimore County. I see every aspect of government life, and a lot of it needs to come back to the people, and we have to bring it down that way. Thank you.
So, thank you for that question. It's a great question. My experience, as mentioned before, I was an executive in healthcare, so I was responsible for creating jobs. I also am employed and worked with hundreds of people from different backgrounds. I understood what it was like to work with people from rural areas, urban areas, whatever it may be. And my main responsibility was to make sure we had income coming in to keep those people employed. Also, now that I'm in environmental services, I have a great understanding of what is going on at the old Bethlehem Steel and with Trade Point Atlantic that's going on down there. Many people have come to me and asked me questions about reading analytical reports and finding out what's been going on under our ground. Something I have different than I think any other people that might be running. I'm also a military family, so I understand the service and sacrifice that those families make as well. I also have 4 little children, 5 children total, and I understand what it's like to be struggling just to make ends meet, have those children, and try to have the best education for them. I grew up in this town. I know what it was. I know what it can be again, and I want the best for my kids and your kids as well. If you want 4 more years of what's been going on, by all means, keep what the establishment that's going on. I'm here to change things and give results to all of us, and not just empty promises.
All right, so thank you again for that. And my experience is, I've worked for the last 4 years in National Geographic in a very multicultural and diverse environment. I'm an infrastructure engineer. I have to work over the aisle with multiple different types of people who don't always agree. My abilities to come to solutions with people is one of the reasons why I feel like I'm qualified for this job. I've been a volunteer in the community for over 15 years, volunteering to the church carnival that benefits a local school, and I've been doing cleanups in the community. And so, on that note, all right. Sorry, I'm gonna call that my end,
Okay.
and I lost track of my thought there.
Okay. The next question is, what are your 2 highest priorities for this community as a county council member? Explain.
Okay, one of the priorities for this community that I have is to fix the infrastructure. Our infrastructure is aging and it's being taxed. They're talking about more developments in the area, and we've already got communities whose storm drain systems are flooding, and their infrastructure is just old, it's outdated, and it's falling apart. The second one would be, if in office, we would like to tackle the school problem with the overcrowding. Like Mr. Weir said, we have a school which was just built, and it was supposed to take into account capacity, and it has not. So we have other schools that are being taken out of the mix, turned into other developments. So those are my 2 priorities.
Thank you, Doug. 2 highest priorities for me started with our kids again. I want to make sure that we have safety in our community. It's been very scary lately here. The infrastructure in the schools are not where they need to be. We've been spending billions, $3.15 billion in taxes every year to the county, and we don't have what we should be getting. Second thing is jobs. For the past 4 years, we haven't had what we need to have happen. Our current councilman, who's not here, also hasn't delivered on what the promises were. If we look at something like the Social Security Administration in Woodlawn, it's a $1.1 billion revenue stream for that area. If they're getting it there, why aren't we getting it here? We have this waterfront. This is prime real estate in this area. We should be able to lure in business. We need to bring in manufacturing, high-tech, biotech type fields. We need to bring in federal work as well. It needs to change the entire area. Right now, we're averaging $12.50 an hour for wages at the Trade Point Atlantic facility. When the Social Security Administration they're averaging $70,000 per year. Big difference, bad deals made, and that's going to be my second biggest priority in changing this community and this town and district.
I've got to say, say that on the questionnaire, I know it was just supposed to be limited to 2 questions, or two of our major things to focus on. But that's like choosing your favorite 2 out of 3 kids, or favorite 2 out of 5 kids. There are really a lot of issues, and I would have written a lot more if I could. But I'm going to go over a bunch of issues real quick. One of them is just overdevelopment. I've already mentioned that. I just cannot stress that enough. There are studies that link mental health to overdevelopment. And as you see with Ellicott City, there's physical restraints that we have too. We have to worry about the water runoff. Water sea level is rising, and it's something that we're going to have to deal with. We're in a really low laying area. The drug problem, again, is just absolutely critical. I mean, there's probably, I don't know if I can do this. Please stop me if I can't. Can I see a show of hands? How many people have been affected by the drug problem? A lot of people. Almost anybody I know personally has been affected one way or the other. And if we combat that, that will combat the crime problem also. A lot of the drugs is related to crime. And again, the overdevelopment, that does increase school capacity. Right now we have some schools up to 130% capacity. And they're talking about adding more homes without increasing the schools first.
Okay, my 2 top priorities is the safety of our people. We need more police, like I said. Now, what holds us back from getting the police is we have to pull them off the street twice a day to cover school crossing guard details. What I would like to do is hold a job fair for school crossing guards. We do it all at one site, one day, fingerprint, paperwork, get it all done in one day. We go to our senior centers, we get people who want part-time help, we really push it. A lot of people don't know, you'll see it advertised every day on Facebook. Okay, second thing is go into our schools and let's start backing our teachers. Let's pay the people proper pay. Our AAs and the people working in the school are making minimum wage. Why would they stay and get beat on every day, get abused every day, when they can run down the street and get a $15 an hour job? We're paying them $10 an hour. We need to give them benefits also. They have no sick time, no vacation time. These are the things that need to get worked on to make our school system better. Right now we have classrooms in schools around here with no teachers in the classroom. They have long-term substitutes in them because we can't get teachers in our classrooms in this area. We're told right now there's a shortage of white paper in our classrooms. They want you to use colored paper because we're short on white paper. Those are in emails, folks. I don't make the stories up. Hopefully with a newly elected school board, okay, we can get some of these issues handled, and I won't stop.
All right, now we're going to start at that end this time. I have heard there will be school redistricting due to the homes being built at Sparrows Point Country Club. Whoop, sorry.
Jen just told, sorry about that, Jen just told me to put it away. Due to the homes being built at Sparrows Point, let me start again. I've heard there will be school redistricting due to the homes being built at Sparrows Point Country Club. Is this true? If so, what do you plan on doing about it?
That is part of the issue that I discussed earlier. We are already at 120% capacity, folks. There's nowhere to put the kids. We're going to have 309 new homes built at Sparrows Point Country Club, 100 plus homes going up Bauer Farms. We are going to have Hillshire Estates off of German Hill Road getting another 15 houses, plus there's other ones opening up. We're at capacity already. Sparrows Point is the last combination junior, senior, high school. There's nowhere to put the kids. When the kids all come into Sparrows Point for that new housing and Bauer Farms, they're going to expect them all to go to Sparrows Point, so they're going to have to move them somewhere else. I don't have any idea where it's going to go. I'm not elected yet. When elected, we'll certainly try to find out where they're going to go. If you listen to the forum that we all went to at the high school that had all the stats, that's where they're talking about busing our kids around the Beltway, folks. They want to take ours up to Towson, Towson down to Randallstown, and so we're going to have 4 hours a day on the buses around, and our kids are not going to be into the schools. There has to be a better solution. My solution is we have a lot of kids who are in special programs. Colleges are doing it. Perhaps we start homeschooling with computer and we go online classes, and then that's what we need to do And that will lessen the load in some of our schools, and the kids will get the proper education. It's like you go to meeting, they go, they learn online, they have to be there, they have to attend, they have to turn in their reports. That may lessen the load, but then they lose tax dollars, and I won't stop.
I always like to test this thing. Okay. That question that you had about the people being redistricted and being bused really far away, that was one of, I believe, 7 different options that the school board presented. I spoke with one of the school board members, and they said that that is the least likely of all options that they were to choose. And they also said that the school board member agreed that it was a bad idea. And if it were to actually happen, I would personally, I would protest. I would keep my kid from school. There's no better way to protest than a whole bunch of people getting together and saying, we're not going to do that. And then they would have to do something different. And that's exactly what I would do. There were other options too, but just so you know, the reason that they were doing that was specifically because of the school overcrowding. They also suggested moving magnets from different schools to encourage people to just go to different schools on their own. And another option is to build more schools. Like Mr. Weir here said, one of the options, getting a little track here, but the school down at Sparrows Point, that is the high school and the middle school combined. Hollybird Middle School, that's also Hollybird Elementary combined. And just last thing, people should protest if that happens.
All right, this is a great question. It goes back to what I was just saying about my number one priority being our children. A lot of these things that we're talking about are Band-Aids, so we got to address what the actual cause of this is. There's Thomas versus Hood, which I won't get in for you guys with the details, but basically, it's a move to opportunity. The Southeast Baltimore County is going to be inundated with imports from the city in different areas. That's why we're having this issue. We need to stop that. The West Side is going to have a different issue. Speaking with Sage Consulting, they were even saying that's going to be more ESOL and related, and that's why they're going to have issues there. In regards to the Country Club Estates, part of that is going to be a gated community. Dundalk, Edgemere, Sparrows Point, Essex, we're not a gated community. We've always been a community together. So what you're seeing is a lot of pay-to-play systems. The current administration is taking the donations and they're spinning it right back around, building with these developments. And who suffers? All of us, all of our kids. And that's going to stop. They want $600 million to build a new school in one of those options. I'm like, no, we could do a whole lot better. They're making bad deals. We'll make better deals when I'm the councilman here. This money that they're trying to give to Trade Point Atlantic as well, if we're going to make a deal, we're going to make a deal that we're going to have new schools and improvements in our schools that's going to be tied to this, because we're not getting screwed because of people getting certain donations. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Just like Mr. Fazenbaker said, that's a great question. First, I want to start off with, from what I understand, the school board is a separate entity that the county council doesn't really have much control over. They kind of run without very much oversight. I would like that to change. I would like the records of the school board and the spending of that to be audited. I would like to know where every single dollar is going in the school board and why they're not spending the money on either fixing up schools around here or adding on the schools or what, whatever it is. Second of all, the redistricting, the last meeting, I don't have a whole lot of information on that, but we definitely need to come to some kind of an agreement with the school board, make sure that the correct amount of money is being spent in our area and any other area in the county which is lacking funding and has overcrowding. Thank you.
The next question is, who do you support for county executive and governor, and why?
So, that's gonna be a very hard question, because I haven't completely made up my mind yet. I'm most likely, yeah, so, I'm gonna say that I haven't completely made up my mind. I will give you a personal account. I like our gubernatorial candidate, even though I know he doesn't have a chance. However, I'm still weighing my other options with the two primary candidates. But other than that, for county executive, I do not actually have an opinion yet.
As a write-in Republican guy, I'm your candidate. I am voting for Al Redmer, and I'm also voting for Governor Hogan. There's nothing else to say.
I'm definitely going for Hogan. I think that I have a little bit of hope with both candidates just right off the bat, because they're both East Side boys. They're both from this area, and they both live somewhat around here. But right now, I'm leaning a little bit more towards Redmer, and a lot of that is based off of information from people who've been around a lot longer than I have, and I do respect my elders, and they've given me some advice on that, and just like my parents, I'm going to take their advice when it seems like it's the right thing to do.
My biggest slogan, it's not about the party, it's about the people. I will be voting for Larry Hogan. I have absolutely no problem with that whatsoever. I cannot support Ben Jealous because he is anti-police. I am pro-police. And I have no idea where the money's going to come up with for the things that he wants. When it comes down to executive, to be totally honest, let me go back to when I buried my wife. It was the day Hurricane Isabel hit. That day, we had to get everybody out of the cemetery. And I know the next day, we were down on Water's Edge. People with water to the second floor. And Al Redmer held everybody's money from Edgemere and everybody's money from Sparrows Point. And they took a long time until they could raise the houses and get their money. I don't always agree with both candidates, but, you know, it's still undecided, but I would lean towards Junior because I know what Redmer did, and I'm just not sure. I certainly don't agree with everything that he says. And we will butt heads, just like I butt heads with everybody now in Towson. I fight for what's best for the people that day. It has no idea what else anybody else votes for. Thanks.
What role does the county council have in addressing the increasing problems associated with the opioid crisis, especially fentanyl?
There's so many levels of the opioid crisis right now. The fentanyl has jumped up to the car fentanyl, which is coming in from China. You just touch this stuff, you get hit right away with Narcan to be brought back out. The problem that we have around here is everybody wants to say not in my backyard. Well, it's going to be in everybody's backyard. That's the thing. I am the only candidate that has come out in favor of our marijuana facility, the medical marijuana. And that's because everybody needs to be educated on the fact that where these medical marijuana places have been established, the opioid crisis has dropped. They were getting the help that they needed. It is non-THC. 80% of what they do is not going to get you high. It's pill form, liquid form. I would have stood in line for 2 days for that stuff to stop my son's seizures before he died. That's the bottom line, folks. If you believe in something, you stand for it. Okay? I know recently my brother-in-law passed. They gave him the pill form and it helped him tremendously. Okay? These are the things. In these areas where the opioids are taking off, we need to come up with better solutions. We got to get away from not in my backyard. We have to come up with beds. We need to get these people there and get them immediate treatment. When I'm listening to the police scanner every day and I'm hearing, we need another load of Narcan down here, we're in trouble, folks.
I've spoken to quite a few people who believe that there's millions and millions of dollars that are missing, unaccounted for, that's supposed to be going towards rehabilitation programs for people who are addicted to drugs. And the first thing I would do, one of my staff, one of their primary duties would be researching and publicizing where money is going like this. So this money is already supposed to be helping us out. And I just spoke to the drug czar of Baltimore County for 25 years. His name was Mike Gimbel, and he ran a hospital that had 300 beds. He was a recovering addict, and he did recover. And for 25 years, he was a drug czar of Baltimore County. Ran this hospital with 300 beds for people who were recovering, and it was working. It was doing good. And some county executive some time ago, 15, 20 years ago, decided to close the hospital. It's working, and I think we can make it work again. I think that we ought to find that money that's missing and build a new hospital. These people, they're not going to, most of them are not going to get any better without any kind of real treatment. And it's costing the entire country, I think I just saw yesterday, $600 billion a year. So financially speaking, it makes sense to invest in this, and from the heart, we got to save people.
Okay, another great question. What I'd like to say first is, we're not working with our federal government on stopping these things here. So many times, I've met so many people out there to say, why is there a methadone clinic by my kid's school? And it's all over the place. I don't want that, and it goes back to my premise where, we're putting our kids first. We need it to be out of here. Why are we focusing necessarily on opioid problems when we have kids with cancer? And that's part of my thing too. I said I was donating my salaries for kids with cancer. Drugs affect everybody. Now we can address these things, but why are we prioritizing certain things, and why are we putting these people that have the problems around our kids' school? It's not a safe thing for us to be doing. There are other treatment options that we should be handling. Mental health, the field where I came from, where I was an executive, is mental health. A lot of these drugs are tied into mental health as well. Address the core problems. Stop putting Band-Aids on these things. Stop putting them around our kids' school, and stop tearing down our communities. This community is suffering different problems than other more affluent communities, and it's a mindset. We need to change that mindset.
All right, so this question for me is a very interesting one. So, as a libertarian, we believe in the core philosophy of the drug war actually helps drug dealers and drug manufacturers that illicitly smuggle this stuff into the country. Stopping the war on drugs and doing a more proactive approach on getting the drugs off the street before it can get into the hands of the people who are going to try it for the first time would be one of the things that we need to really work on. As for the people who have used it and then moved on to something like methadone and whatnot, there are methadone clinics that actually will increase the strength of the methadone, not actually helping people get off of the actual drugs. Basically just a government sanctioned drug facility. So making it so that those facilities have to wean people off would be one big priority. Also, the amount of people that are doing this and the amount of people that are getting Narcan on a daily basis, there's a guy down the street from me that gets it probably every 2 weeks. That kind of stuff has got to, be taken care of. He needs to be put in programs that will help him get off of this stuff.
What would you like to see happen to the government renter?
Center.
Center.
Government center.
Oh, to the,
Read it. To the government center.
Well, that's a good question. I think that we should keep the government center there. I do not want to see the government center or the parks, the ball fields, everything that the community uses as that's where our 4th of July fireworks are. I do not want to see all that be turned into another large chunk of asphalt just sitting there creating runoff for our streams and flooding our community. So I think that we should be using the government center more, and we should be putting stuff in there. And, you know, if the school overcrowding problem is a thing, they could start putting different types of classes in the government center if they could find the finances to do it.
This question is perfect, because this town is rallying around saving that government center, because we've seen the pay-to-play system going on. The developers paying off the politicians and trying to get that land. It's our land, and we want it. No gray line or anything. We want that property, and we want it to stay in our hands. We saw what the very leftist prior, the politicians that were in office, those elected officials were trying to do with that property. They were selling it for their own benefit. We're not going to do that. We're going to hold that property. That property, along with Fort Howard Park, all needs to stay with us. We have over 1,000 homes going up from the Country Club Estates to Hillshire. Who knows what they're trying to do down in Fort Howard? They're building a bike path down there for $700,000 on a road that not many people travel. Something's going on there. They want to take all our land, and it's because they have quotas to bring in people from different areas into our land and completely change this. It's not going to happen. I'm going to stop it. When I'm your county councilman, this will be a high priority. I will be extremely transparent. As many of you seen, I stream all the community meetings I go to, so everybody can see these things. I don't have anything to lose. I'm donating my salary. I'm doing this because I care. It's not a job, it's a mission, and we're going to keep that building.
He's right, they do want to bring more people in here. There's something called Baltimore County Master Plan. I don't know when the last time any of us ever had a say on the Baltimore County Master Plan. I guess they're the master and we're not, but we can take it back. And one of the places that we can make that strong foothold is with the government center. And I'm not going to name any names here, but I'll throw a few looks. There are some people here today that were incredibly instrumental. They spearheaded saving that government center, and I definitely think that we should keep it as a government center. I definitely want to keep the fireworks there. The fireworks, that's something that brings pretty much everybody in Dundalk together. That's the one thing we have that brings everybody outside and together. I've been going there for, I guess, 34 years. That's how old I am. So one of the other things I like to do is I like to bring police back in there. We may not be able to get it to be the full police station again, but more police, because our area, this particular part of Dundalk, it's the most populated part of all of Baltimore County. If you pull it up on the map with population counts, we have the most populated place. So why would you move the police station on the outskirts bordering the city rather than the county where their jurisdiction is? And lastly, I bring the county council office back there. The councilman's office used to be there. Thank you.
First thing is, I did work to stop the sale of the government center with many people in this room who did a ton more work than I did with it, being tied up with it. First thing should be a meeting with the community and the rec councils to find out what they want. That's the first thing. It's not a decision that one person makes sitting up here. We find out what they want. I would lean to trying to see a new state-of-the-art theater that can house not only the programs that we have in there now, but being on the board of Rec Parks, we would get a call every day, then bumping our tap and ballet program, our recitals getting moved. We need that theater there. We could run them all through there on the different weekends as they come up. When it's not, we would have to, the numbers were about $27.5 million to repair that school, which I believe is inflated myself, where you could build the new center for about 12 to 15 million, but that would be after input from the community to see what they really want. I don't foresee the police station coming back. I know everybody thinks it is. I think we definitely need substations back through the area because we are taking too long in response times. But that's not because our police aren't trying. That's because we are understaffed, folks. We don't have enough police to cover the area. That's the problem. They're pushing right now to add 1 car for Trade Point Atlantic area. 1 car. That's the push right now for the money. So it would be up to the community. I'm following it.
Why do you think Tabco did not endorse any 7th district candidate, but endorsed one in all the others?
I can tell you the direct answer for that. I went to my interview for Tabco. I don't know that any of the others were invited. And I thought I impressed them very well. But at the end of my meeting with Tabco, and I spoke with them, and I said, your endorsement really doesn't mean anything to me because I don't work for Tabco, I work for the people. So here's 9 pages of issues of emails that I got from my teachers in the area. And I went back and took 9 pages of issues, of which includes what I talked about earlier. Okay, we need benefits for our workers in the school that we don't have. We need transparency and everybody knows what goes on. I know this week alone, I mention it because I stay in contact with teachers in all the schools. We've had teachers bitten, stabbed with pencils, radios ripped from their hands. This stuff, and this is elementary school, folks. This is elementary school. We continue to overshadow that. So then they wanted to have devices for all the children and make the children responsible for the devices. So when they had them each year, they brought them back and they were in the same condition. So what happened, they came back the following year and they gave them somebody else's that was all trashed, had food in it, broken open. This is what Dallas Dance's program did for us. So I told Tabco, I know you liked what I said to you in my own stop. We'll talk later.
I feel the same way Brian does. I don't work for any organization except for the people. If you look at the organizational chart of Baltimore County, all the government entities are down here, and then it gets higher and higher, and then you have the county executive and the county council, and then on top of that you have the people. You don't have endorsers, and you don't have anything else like that. It's truly all about the people. Thank you.
The only endorsement that matters to me is all of you guys and what you think. I don't care about what some entity is thinking or who they're going to endorse. There's a lot of pay to play, as we've seen. We talked about Dallas Dance, Roulette Away. You want 4 more years of that stuff? You just keep voting this establishment the way it is. We can make the change. We're going to make that change. When I'm your councilman, we will make all this transparent. Everything is going to be put out there. I don't care about what other people are thinking within the government. I can work with them. I know how to lead people to get the results that we need. But who controls all the power? It's everybody sitting in this room right here. Everybody in District 7. I've been to Sussex Elementary, been to Sparrows Point, I've been to Edgemere Elementary, I've been to many schools, talking to many teachers, many principals. I know the problems that they're facing. Some are local, some are more regional. We can address these things, and we don't need some government entity telling us what we need and who we're going to endorse for a race. It's all about what you guys want, and we can do this together as a community.
Okay, so as a libertarian, we don't get many people offering to endorse us. So let's just say that as a starter. I'm not sure I would accept an endorsement from Tabco if they even, reached out to me. The only kind of mail I've gotten from Tabco or MESA has been a letter saying, don't use our logo. And other than that, I've received nothing. However, I think the teachers need to be taken care of much better than they're being taken care of. And they need some help in the classroom so that they don't have to basically be glorified babysitters. And until Tabco lets up the reins on that, I don't think I would accept an endorsement and they need to help their teachers a little bit more than they're doing now.
What can be done to improve the Section 8 program?
Now, this is where I have to bring my libertarian values into play. As you all probably know, libertarians do not advocate for government programs per se, but my own personal opinions are the Section 8 program is a great stepping stone for people who absolutely need it. I don't think it should be a program that people should live on their whole lives, but it should be there to support people when they're in their most need. So, other than that, the way I would fix that program would be to focus it on the people who absolutely need it. The other people, if they need to get skills, to get jobs, then I think the government should make some programs to help educate people in order to get a little bit higher skilled jobs.
So I've been in this race 3 months. Things I've uncovered are just probably the tip of the iceberg. So, Thomas versus HUD, I mentioned a little bit before. It's discriminatory, and here's how. If you're an older person, or if you're a child, or you're disabled, you're not prioritized. They are looking, through Thomas versus HUD, to have 20-something people imported here to be first on Section 8. That is not the American way, that's not the Dundalk way, it's not District 7 way. Why are we prioritizing that stuff? It's all political. So, I spoke with Al Redmer, and he didn't know necessarily at that time about the age part of Thomas versus HUD. When we come into office, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna focus, we're gonna bring lawsuit against this to get this to stop, because it's discriminatory. Baltimore County, especially this east side, the southeast side, has been known to take care of its elderly, disabled people and children. And they didn't like that. They want their social justice efforts to come into play here and completely change this. And that's why we're seeing increases of crime, and it all ties into poverty and stuff. So we're going to change that. The second thing is, Johnny Ocheski's already talking about the Home Act. As a homeowner, it basically forces us to, if we're going to rent our house, that we have to accept Section 8. I don't want that. I'm sure many of you don't want that. I've seen what's going on in the neighborhoods. I've seen Berkshire, I've seen Colgate, and many other places. They bring in that Section 8, it's all gone.
The first thing I would do is I would get an investigation. I told you I'd have somebody in my office that would do investigations on the county. And I would get them to do an investigation on the overpayment of Section 8. The way they do it is they take all of Baltimore County and they take an average of the average rent. And they pay that exact same rent no matter where the apartment or the house is at in Baltimore County. So let's say the average is $1,800. Well, they may pay $1,800 for rent for a house in Dundalk that would normally go for $1,000. And then that artificially inflates the housing in all of the area. And they're supposed to make housing affordable. What it actually does is it increases the housing price in the poorest areas. So where people need it the most, where they need that first step up, or all of a sudden they can't even afford that home because Section 8 has made the home unaffordable. And I think that's a huge problem Section 8 has. And that's why our area has more Section 8 than anybody else, because they have the highest profit margins on the housing here. You rent a home for $1,800 that only costs you $30,000, where in Towson you rent a home for $1,800 that costs you $180,000. That's quite a big profit margin that you're going to have there. You might as well just come scoop them all up here in Dundalk. That's what everybody else is doing, and in Essex. And they want to do it in all the other poor areas of Baltimore County too, like southwest Baltimore County. And we're getting the shaft from Baltimore County because people in power, they know this, and they're just not doing anything about it. Thank you.
All right, I'm about ready to make your head spin off. Okay, here's my take on it, folks. This program was screwed up from the federal government many years ago. Just talk numbers real quick. Your average voucher is $16.95 a month. The people who have to come up with the additional money themselves is $400 or $500, up to $700 a month to live in that house. If they're on the program for 10 years, That's over $200,000 of tax money that we have spent on the people in the houses. Biggest complaint we get from Section 8 people is they don't take care of their property, it's not theirs. What do they care? They live like pigs, they don't put metal trash cans out there. Wouldn't the logical thing have been when the houses were $80,000 and $100,000 that you buy the home for the $80,000? Then the people that are on the program for 20 years were spending $400,000. That was billions of dollars that we spent that could have been used for other things. Then the property was theirs. They would have took pride in the property. They would have taken care of it. The money they have to come up with themselves, to Hartford County and everything else, because they're getting 4 times the money on their property if the houses were just purchased outright the first time. You get one home for your life, and it would have been done that way. Would have saved trillions of dollars for all people involved. Thank you.
The next question is, what are your opinions on the TIFs for Trade Point Atlantic?
Great question. This is going to make your head spin the other way. So we're up to about $150 million in TIFs was the latest that they want, right? Folks, Trade Point Atlantic started 10 years ago. Here's the thing we got. We got people taking credit right now for Trade Point Atlantic and schools being built. If you're going to take credit for something, take responsibility for what's going on at the same time. Here's my deal with the TIFs. It's going to happen. It was going to happen with or without a councilman. It was in the works. It's not going to stop. So here's my thing. Let's take the TIF, because we know they don't work in other states, but let's take it from 150. Let's make it 200 million. Now, the other 50 million, that's them coming back to the community for more police, fixing our infrastructure, redoing the government center. They foot the bill for it, because if there's nobody there, it's not going to be any. So let's take it to the next level. Let's go up a step, and let's make that money come back to the community through them. And let's make that money come back to the community through them. Sounds crazy, I know, but why don't we look at logic sometimes? It's going to happen. We're not going to stop it. So let's be realistic. They're going to get what they want. They're not going to stop building Trade Point Atlantic. It's going to go on. We know that. So let's take advantage of the situation, and let's build something extra into it that comes back to the people as part of the PUD and everything else besides a boat ramp or something that we're going to get for somebody. Let's make them pay for something.
The Trade Point Atlantic deal, I don't think that it is necessarily a done deal. We do have something very powerful up every single person's sleeve here, and that's your hand to sign a petition. There's something called the referendum, which if the county were to pass that bill, we could block it, and then it would sit for 4 years until the next election. So they really better listen to what we care about. Otherwise, we could block everything they want for 4 years, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't block it, because I'm generally opposed to billionaires getting more taxpayer dollars. It just doesn't add up to me. Why? They really don't need it. It's just, I don't blame them. They're business people. They want to make more money, and they're going to do everything they can to do that. And they have people working for them whose entire job is just to try to find more ways to squeeze more money out of the government. They've been getting over $100 million in tax breaks already. All their building material was tax-free. They paid, I think, $130 million for the place, and I think they made about $300 million scrapping it. They've been making money left and right already, and I don't know if they really need that $150 million to be successful. They just want it like any business would. Thank you.
This has been a sore spot for many people in this community, and it's probably why our current county councilman's not here. If we want to stop this TIF, we can stop it. It depends on everybody here. If we want to continue with this, then we will definitely get a better deal. This has been a mess. Like I said earlier, we're getting $12.50 hour jobs at Trade Point right now. We're fighting for those jobs because they built a bus line, number 63, I believe, that's coming in every 15 minutes. So we're fighting for those jobs with people from the city. look at Woodlawn, like I said, they had the Social Security Administration there, $1.1 billion with $70,000 average salaries. Why did they get in? We didn't get it. It's a bad deal. We have bad people that don't understand how business works and how to represent the people of this community. When they get in office, we're going to get the government center fixed. We're going to preserve our Fort Howard Park. We're going to get schools. We'll get more police. We will get everything that we need if they want to come here. Because there's an ultimate goal and there's an ultimate plan for why they want that land. And it has to do with logistics and it has to do with that man-o-war shoals. And it's going to be a major hub for traveling around the world with different boats coming in here. That's why they're also looking at Fort Howard. That's why they're trying to build that $700,000 bike path. There's a game plan. I've been in business. I know what they're doing. We will get a better deal.
All right, so the TIF. I like to learn when it comes to stuff about infrastructure. When they asked for this latest TIF, which is now the current number is 125 million, they've kind of refined it down. I was like, okay, I want to understand why they want this TIF and, you know, what is it going to provide the community. So I reached out and I had a mini meeting and tour of the site on Friday. So I'm going to say that they need infrastructure. Do I think that they should float a bond based on their future tax income? No, I do not. I do not really think they should have corporate welfare. But I think that the community could come together and put pressure on them to revise the TIF. And because we know that the state government's probably going to push it through. They want to get more port logistics into this area. So they could float the bonds on their own. And they might end up having to do that. So when in office, you know, we'll push with the community to get what the community wants. And there's a high probability that the state will probably go around the community and push it through either way.
How will you handle the crime in the Dundalk Avenue, Halliburtt Avenue corridor, i.e. prostitutes and drugs?
Okay, so I assume you are saying from the city line on Halliburtt to this and from the city line on Dundalk into the county.
I'm gonna make an assumption if you guys.
Okay. As Mr. Rear stated earlier, we are understaffed with police. And we really need more officers and more cars on the road so that we can police these areas and make sure that this stuff is seen and taken care of. So we basically, I would say we need to increase patrols, we need more officers, and we need to make sure that the communities are safe and the trouble corridors need to be policed even heavier. But that's basically how I feel about that.
This is a big sore spot for a lot of people. A lot of people avoid that area now for that reason. There are squeegee boys and the crime that's going on in that area. A lot of friends that are in law enforcement. I've talked to lots of them. I asked them specifically, well, if you're driving past there, why can't you call the city if it's not not in your jurisdiction? I'm not going to say their names, but they basically said the city doesn't care. So we're going to make the city care. We're going to bring in their councilmen. We're going to bring in their police as well. And we're going to have meetings and we're going to lay out, this is what we need, and we will get that area changed. It's terrible and it's hurting businesses in that area. Nobody wants to drive past there. What I would need is I need you guys to vote for me first if we get that thing, we can get this thing started. We'll get that cleaned up, but we need to bring in the city to get them to fix what we can't do, because we can't go past those lines with our county police. What we also can do is have more presence and awareness there. So even if we can have police just sitting there on the county side, they can't do anything, but necessarily unless they come onto the county side, but they can make those calls. We'll lay that pressure on the city and we'll take it to the governor. I've already written letters to Governor Hogan about different things with our schools and then the things that we need. We will push it. We will push it. We'll get the press involved and say this needs fixed and we're going to stop it.
I've been to multiple meetings where they say that they don't really have the manpower on the city to police over there, and it definitely directly affects us. And our community association actually borders that area, and we hear the complaints many times of the crime and the, well, it's all crime, prostitution, the squeegee, all of that stuff is crime, it's all legal. And I'm gonna propose something a little bit radical. First of all, I think we should do everything we can to try to work with the city. And if they really, truly cannot handle it, then we should annex it. We should take it and then use that tax base for all that property there. That's just some quick math in my head. There's probably about $200,000 in property taxes there. That's enough to hire a couple police just for that area. And if they can't handle it, then we have to. We can't just sit there and keep passing the buck. I think we have other things we can try too, but like I said, first of all, just try working with them. But if they can't do it, then we do it. Thank you.
We all went to a meeting last Monday night down in Dundalk about the same issue and the same problems. I made some phone calls the next day. I have a meeting tomorrow night with Steve Cohen, the councilman of the city. I've already set that meeting up, and then we're going to set up a meeting, hopefully to be hosted at Squires with the community leaders and the things like that, to try to come up with a joint task force between city and county. We like to get MDTA involved and MSP involved. They do joint task force things now. It is a fact that county will not touch anybody in the city. Those are true facts. We need to come up with a solution to getting them off the streets. I put out 2 emails on the Facebook page from the meeting last week. For anybody that takes pictures, please send them to the Southeastern District. I've already tried all these things without being elected yet. It's hard to get people to listen, but I'm getting a lot of people to listen this week. It started last week. So there is 2 emails out there. Take the pictures of the drug activity that's going on and the crime activity, send them to them. They responded back immediately. Thank you for the pictures. So they're out there. It was on the Facebook page from the meeting that we all attended last week. And that's about the only way that this solution is going to happen. It has to be a joint task force with all of them on the same page. Thank you.
We've come to the end of the Q&A session. So we're going to start the other way around with a 1.5-minute closing statement.
First thing, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for doing this for everybody. It really is. It's tremendous. At least give our people a chance to hear us. Secondly, we never got to the question of overdevelopment. I have pictures here of Mr. Jim Collier's family. If you want to see what overdevelopment, this is down at Edgemere, folks. The houses are underwater completely, and you will see the new development built above it. This is what's going to happen at Hillshire. You know what they say, what rolls downhill? Everything rolls downhill, right? That's going to go to bread and butter. Bread and butter is going to go into bread and cheese, and we are already stressed out. So the overdevelopment is going to kill us, okay, if we don't see that. All right? If you don't have a chance to talk to me here right now, Friday night, you can come. I'm having a 2-hour meet and greet at Battle Grove Democratic Club, and I can listen to your concerns there. I would appreciate if you all come down there. I will listen to anybody one-on-one. My thing is, I tell you the truth. You may not like what I have to say. That's what I believe. We definitely need transparency. We need to listen to our community leaders. We need to sit on these hot spots, and we need to clean these areas up. I don't want to hear there's no money for police. We came up with $43 million for Towson Row like that. Okay, I said some things tongue-in-cheek with the tips. I think everybody's intelligent enough to catch on. We definitely need more money, and that's going to come from other things that we need to have. Police is the priority. We need to take care of our schools, our teachers, our AAs, and all the people working in the school. That's what we need. That's where we need to be at. I appreciated all of you coming, and thank you so much for listening to what we had to say. No ding.
I also want to express my gratitude for the League of Women voters hosting this meeting. I think it's incredibly important, and it's really a shame that one of the primary candidates, one of the Republican candidate, he couldn't show. I think it's very telling.
Didn't want to.
Because all across the nation, we see the same thing. Personally, back to protest again, I think that we should protest the national debates until the League of Women Voters holds it again. They allowed third parties to it, and really they should be allowed to host it again. At the end of the day, though, every day, whether in office or on the streets, I'm doing everything I can to make the area better, whether it's picking up trash in front of my house, right out in front of this building, or just volunteering locally. I'm going to continue doing that, paid or unpaid, and I appreciate the opportunity to make the world a little bit better with every other person in here that does a little bit to make it better. Thank you.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters, a national organization. I'm glad to be part of this. I'll start again with what I said in the very beginning. For me, it's not a job, it's just a mission. I got into this because we have terrible results from the establishment that we have in power. There's a lot of corruption. I bring results, I don't bring good feelings. I will get things taken care of the right way. Because my number one priority, my daughter's sitting over there, and my other kids at my house, and all of your kids and family. I'm from Colgate, like I said, as a kid, moved to Edgemere. After college, I lived in Pennsylvania, but when I got married and wanted to have kids, I came back because this is the land I love. I will bring the results to all of you guys. Again, I'm donating my salary because I want to take money out of politics. Look at all the corruption, all the big companies that donate to the politicians, and then we get screwed and they get what they want. If you want 4 more years of that, you know what to do. I'm asking for your vote, and I need your support to make this change in our area. Lastly, I am a write-in. My name is Tim Fazenbaker. I am out there with trying to educate people how write-ins work. I've been in this 3 months, and I'm way beyond ecstatic on the momentum that we have, and it's coming from you guys because I represent you. I'm not in this for my own interest. I'm in this because we need results, and I want to make Dundalk, Edgemere, Sparrows Point, Fort Howard, Essex, Middlesex, I want to make it the best that it should be, and thank you guys.
I'd like to say thank you to the League of Women Voters for being transparent and inclusive. Unlike a lot of other forums that are happening in the area that are not so inclusive, that are excluding pretty much everybody but the D's and the R's. We are very grateful, us three, for you guys taking the time to talk to us. So, at that point, I'm going to say, whether or not I get elected, which I am working towards, I will continue to volunteer and work in the communities. I will work with all the community associations with my strong points. I've already been getting potholes fixed around the area that people are concerned about. I was on the phone with Baltimore County Utilities this morning, trying to get a storm drain rebuilt and trying to figure out a time frame so these poor people in the Water's Edge community don't get flooded anymore. I will continue my community advocacy, whether or not I'm in office. Thank you.
Please join me in a round of applause to thank our candidates. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Rod McMillian and William Fuhrer, candidates for the Board of Education in District 7. And if they could come up, am I pronouncing it wrong?
That's right. Yeah.
If they could come up, it would be a big help. How are you? I didn't recognize this.
So any comment about Todd not being here tonight?
Very disappointed.
Yes. Any comment about Todd not being here tonight?
It's evidence of what he's been doing for the past 4 years.
Thank you.
Our Board of Education candidates will each have 2 minutes to explain a little bit about themselves and why they're running.
Before my time starts, if you need help packing that up, let me know, because my wife is excited that makes people stop talking, because she knows that I go on a little bit. Good evening, my name is William Fewer, and I'm running for the position of the board member for the 7th Councilmanic District on the Board of Education for Baltimore County Public Schools. Schools are the commonality between different cultures and communities and guide the county into the future. Right now, Baltimore County citizens have a power given to them that they've never had before, and it's to hold the school board accountable. This is the first time Baltimore County is electing a school board, and they will be able to rein in wasteful spending, crumbling infrastructure, and fiscal inequality in the county. We need to bring discipline and accountability back to our schools. The school system is responsible so that parents feel they're sending their children to a safe and healthy environment. For too long, the citizens of the east side of Baltimore County have had subpar facilities, and there's been a lack of proper investment in teachers and programs. The number one priority should always be the students. We should be character building, setting high expectations, and pushing for excellence in every student. Not some, not certain, but every child. BCPS needs to be responsible to the community. As a product of Baltimore County Public Education and a parent of 2 BCPS students, I look forward to representing and advocating for the schools I attended. I'll be the first to tell you I do not have all the answers, but I promise I will ask the questions. Before offering any solutions to problems, it is my responsibility to completely understand the issue. I've always been willing to collaborate and contribute to an open dialogue. I have the dedication to spend the time necessary to be well informed and knowledgeable on the issues. I have served and continue to serve on various boards and work with numerous organizations in my community, including Dundalk High and Halberg Middle School PTA. I have worked closely with Ann Miller and Julie Henn on several issues. These interactions have taught me to understand what it takes to work with and for a diverse group of people with different backgrounds and personalities. Public education is a three-legged table upon which the school system foundation is built, with the administration, the board, and the community holding equal importance to the school system.
My name's Rod McMillian. I'm a physical education teacher in Baltimore County. I've taught school for 35 years and 6 months. I can't sit behind a table. I'm used to teaching. I'm used to being up, and that's just me. I hope I go to my grave believing that quality public education can change a person's life. My parents came here from West Virginia when I was 3. My mother worked at Martin's. My father worked at Bethlehem Steel. Went to Essex Elementary, Stemmers Run, Kenwood, Essex Community College. I include Bethlehem Steel on my college resume because I went to Bethlehem Steel. I worked 18 months without missing a day or being late. I saved my money to go back to college. I graduated from Towson State. I have a master's degree in physical education from Morgan State. I have a master's in counseling psychology from Loyola, and I have some additional credits toward a degree at the University of Maryland. I believe in a quality education can change your life because it's changed my life. I'm an Essex guy. I've lived in Essex all my life. I've worked recreation and parks. I'm certified K through 12. I've taught kindergarten through 5 elementary school for 10 years. I made the move to a high school. I've been in a high school for 25 years. I'm a coach and athletic director. That's what I do. I'm about public education. My priorities real quick, we got to find a new superintendent, and we got to do it quick. There's a national search going on. We need we can come up with a short list. We need to interview, and we need to hire that superintendent, in my opinion, before the school year's out. School safety, arming teachers, I'm against that. I don't want to carry a gun. I don't know any teacher that wants to carry a gun. The school resource officers, we've got 2 in our building, and they've changed our building since they've been there. Restoring the trust in the public, grading, attendance. I'm not a computer for every child. I don't believe that. They have enough screen time. That's $260 million that was spent on computers to give every child 1st through 12th a computer. I don't buy that. Staffing, we need more teachers. I talked to an AA today that's making $10.10 an hour, and she works with our students. Grounds, I've got all kinds of things I can talk about. Discipline, we need consequences for our behavior. If there's no consequences, the behavior will continue. Thank you.
Thank you, audience members, for your questions and for participating in tonight's program. Thank you to our candidates for participating in the forum. Thank you all. And serving as an example of civil discourse. We've given Baltimore County residents a great deal to think about as we vote in November. I would like to thank our forum committee for arranging this event, and special thanks go to the Pikesville Volunteer Fire Department for allowing us, I changed that once. We're at the North Point Library, sorry about that, I didn't have these. Please look for hard copies of the League's Voters Guides, which will be available at branches of the library, and senior centers, Head Start centers, and college campuses. Also, vote411.org is the online version of the Voters Guide. And actually, there's a little bit more information in the 411 online version than there is in the printed version. And if you you can pick these up at the back of the room. Let's see, wait a minute. The 411 has everything that the Voters Guides does. Candidates' positions in their own words, polling places, and more. Election day is November the 6th. Early voting begins on October 25th and ends on November 1st. We hope that you will consider joining the League of Women Voters of Baltimore County. We're open to all men and women age 16 and older with reduced membership for students. We have asked candidates to remain for a few minutes to speak with you. Candidate materials are on the tables in the back. The Board of Education candidates will also be in the back of the room to meet you. We need to be out of here at 8:45 sharp. Drive safely, and again, thank you.
So Dave, what did you think?
I thought it was great. I thought we had a lot of discussion up there, a lot of good ideas to entertain, and I think that just about every one of those ideas is worth entertaining, so we can find the best solutions for a lot of these different problems. And one of the things that I wanted to mention was we need to bring back constituent services, and another thing regarding the schools being possibly redistricted. Regarding the schools being possibly redistricted, so students would have to take buses all over the county to go to school. They always have a shortage of bus drivers, so that just doesn't make any sense there, among many other reasons. But there's going to be another school board meeting either in October or November, and it will be publicized whenever that comes up.
Okay, and the other question is, hold on 1 second, please. I'm interviewing. Excuse me. Please. Yeah, well, I think it was a little rude. So Dave, I want to know, doesn't matter to me. Hey, listen, Dave, please, I want to know what you think about Todd not showing up.
I think it was very sad.
Okay, thank you. I think it was very rude. I heard you. Yeah, I know. That's all right. I don't mind telling you again.
Calm down.
I am calm. Believe me, I am calm.